name is Fausta and I'm here with the founders of Dialexity. So without further ado, maybe one of you could describe what is Dialexity?
Okay, Dialexity is a startup of just two people, very much dedicated to philosophy, dialectics and IT. Also blockchain, AI. We develop application, Argument Inspector, that provides a deeper insight into any text using dialectical approaches.
All right. And so what is this dialectical approach that you speak of?
Thesis, antithesis and synthesis. This is three things you should know about dialectics. And now all these ancient philosophers were actually trying to grind this and how to look for synthesis. You always need to find some balance, right? And our company actually has found a way to formally look for synthesis in an automated way. Basically, if you have thesis and antithesis, to look for synthesis, you need some intellectual power to put in, and we put AI power into it. So we say to AI, we tell it how to reason the best way to come to a synthesis that makes sense. And so Dialexity is using dialectical framework, which is a formalism of dialectics, which we formalize the dialectics in a way that it is usable by algorithms. And this algorithm helps you, guides you towards the solution. It will not give you an answer, it will guide you through solution. So our tools are meant to be for you to make a better decision, a wiser decision. And that's what we aim for at Dialexity. And AI here is just a tool which we use to do this semantic relationships to fulfill the algorithm.
Okay.
And it becomes, we can say, a kind of reasoning mechanism for AI. We have chain of thought reasoning in modern AI systems, and now we have another reasoning way for AI, which could be actually made before chain of thought, sort of pre-reasoning algorithm. If AI can reason in dialectical terms, first weighing semantically all oppositions, all strengths and weaknesses, pluses, minuses, then it can give you much better answers than just answers from the knowledge base.
Right. Perhaps an example to unpack that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I actually did have a pretty recent personal example. And so this happened to me last year. So basically, I was studying in Stockholm at the time. I was doing my master's, and I was about to enter into my thesis. So the way that my thesis would work is basically I would have to do it with a company. And I remember I really thought that, staying in Sweden could allow me to open my professional opportunities, because Europe is where I kind of see myself to be in the future in general. And there are more companies, more pharmaceutical companies in my case. But also I had gotten accepted to go on an exchange to do my thesis in New Zealand, which, would be kind of like the part of me that would fulfill a dream to going to New Zealand. But also, it's a smaller ecosystem when it comes to professional opportunities that apply to me. So if let's say you mentioned stay or should I go situation, that would be my situation. So how would you use Dialexity how could I use Dialexity to unpack that?
To resolve your question, yeah.
Right.
We should draw a dialectical wheel.
Okay. So what is a dialectical wheel then?
Let's take an example.
Okay.
For example, here we see this stay or go.
Mm-hmm.
And we start looking for pluses and minuses. Okay, if I stay, I'm stable, I'm systematic, I'm responsible. But this automatically determines negative side of going. I'm frivolous, I'm childish and serious. And the same thing here. If I go, I'm gonna get fresh side, discovery. This is sort of growth opportunity. Automatically determined this. This is rotting, stagnating, cliche thinking. And basically, these oppositions are very important checkpoints, so that I'm not frivolous in drawing this. And once I have this thing, I can already draw a half wheel. Basically, okay, if I go, I have this, And the closer to the center, the more positive, the more subtle and synthesis ready. And if I stay, also I have this. But then I start thinking, okay, how to make a wheel? How to convert bad side of this into good side of this, and vice versa. So I need tactics, short-term thinking and long-term thinking. And so then I get to the second part of this. I convert short-term tactics into two sides, positive and negative, energy and escapism, basically running from myself. And long-term, the same thing. I will stay if I will find a meaning, friends, myself, which will be opposite of escapism. If escapism is here, then finding yourself is here. And this side as well. If I'm drained, I'm gonna stay also if I'm drained, lacking energy, which is opposite to the reason why should I go. When I'm curious, I feel lots of opportunities within myself, so basically those energies. And then a good test, if the wheel is correct, do these four domains represent orthogonal meanings? Are they not tautological? And do they cover enough sides to see eternity? So basically, in combination, all of those positives must draw a picture of something stable, eternal, and unquestionable.
Okay, so essentially it kind of, from my understanding, from what you're saying now, it acts kind of like a therapist, where it doesn't give you a answer, but rather gives you a whole overview of the bigger picture.
Yeah, it tells you, okay, if you will realize that your goal is this actually, then regardless if whether you stay or go, you will be on the right attitude.
Okay.
You will know what to do.
In order for me
yes,
to
because
get the best
even
outcome.
if you stay, you will look for energy, insight, and meaning.
Right.
If you will go, you will look also for the same, but from a different route.
Okay.
And in the end, no matter what you do now, in the long run, your mindset will be on success.
The thing is that with your situation, if you come to some complex roadmap, how to resolve your situation, it's usable, you can look at it of course, but it's gonna be usable only when you give it, for instance, to somebody to interpret it. If you understand this wheel, that's perfect. You look at it, you inspire yourself, but in most cases it's too much information which is hidden behind these concepts. And then we foresee an application that if you give this wheel and tell it how it's structured, this graph, how it's structured, what are interdependencies between concepts, if you give it to the same AI who created it, then talking to this AI would be like talking to a coach, to a life coach.
Right,
to
because then you
psychologist.
have an entire depiction of your situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this dialectical wheel that I would get, it's kind of a manifestation of my balanced way of thinking.
Yes.
In order to balance it, right?
If you're a very mature person, you would come yourself to this balanced view,
Right.
If you're stable, mature, you know what you want in your life, you would make right decisions.
Right.
But when you're lost, you're struggling, you're emotionally overloaded, you normally are disbalanced. And so you're biased. You tend to fill out, let's say, certain parts of the wheel only, and you don't see the other parts, the other side of the coin. You don't see it. And to see it, you need some external advice. And we have automated the search for that advice with the help of AI. So in your case, if you're looking for a stay or go, you will find a way that suits you best. It will not probably be either, neither you will go nor stay, but you will figure out something else, which is synthesis.
Would that be the main difference between me using Dialexity and ChatGPT to kind of...
Exactly, that would be the main difference, and we tested that difference with ChatGPT itself. You ask it to reason in our way and then provide some guidance, answer to, let's say, problematic question, and you ask directly, give me some guidance, let's say, stay or go. the answers will be completely different, and humans as well as the same AI, ChatGPT, would choose our answer as a preferred one.
Right.
Although it itself, it cannot come to that answer so easily. It has to reason through certain pattern.
Right.
And we have this formalism of reasoning, dialectical framework, where dialectical will is sitting behind. For instance, we have a case where a kid was bullied in the school, was afraid to tell to parents and so on. He needs to talk to somebody, and then he looks for answers somewhere, reads some text, and then nowadays young people turn to AI for help, let's say.
That's true.
And then they get some sort of advice from AI, but then when they come to Dialexity with the same situation, the advice, we have even a tool, Wise Advice, they get something different, which is more balanced approach, which is deeper, and it gives more consolation.
Right.
So in that situation, but not all the tools are dialectic, because some things you can resolve without dialectics.
Right.
Actually, dialectics is not about competing with AI.
Right.
It only augments AI.
Okay.
But there are situations where AI is smart enough, especially, for example, with dialectics, we can estimate constructivity of any text or any character within the text. What is constructivity? It is closeness to the positive synthesis. But opposite of that would be bias. So dialectically we can very nicely quantitate bias.
Okay.
But once we start getting to bias, we also need to touch on non-dialectical biases.
Right.
Those are various cognitive biases. So these are not dialectical, but they must be there
Right.
to legitimize dialectical bias.
I remember once you mentioned this linear thinking that kind of people are really prone to now, especially with all this boom of AI. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a drift away from this linear thinking, and
It's trying to combine both, because
Okay.
in reality, linear and closed loop, they are all sort of the same but different. They must be present together. Because linear thinking is predominant in our society, because it is sort of quick fix mentality. Oh, if I have pain, I go fix it. So this is linear, there is no closed loop. In science too, there are first principles and probabilistic consequences. Linear, there is no circular thinking. But chicken and egg problem, for example, it's who comes first, chicken or egg? They are equal. So once you understand that all linear thinking sooner or later make a closed loop, then you realize that there are no first principles. Everything is equally important.
Technically, everything winds down to something like, what is the objective truth?
Right.
What is objective truth? You have to have a standard of saying that this is right and this is wrong. And if you don't have the standard, then anybody can question you. And dialectics gives us the standard, because we have to, the axiom would be that good and bad can coexist. And if you assume this possibility, then you have totally different worlds of possibilities of how to make decisions. If you always say, I only want to be right, and then you will go somewhere, but not, but you will probably not be balanced and happy person if you only follow this rightness path, because there is everybody has evil in them, right? And
Right.
you either fight it or you try to live with it. So when dialectics gives us a framework to let these two beasts, good and bad, coexist,
Right.
and we have formalized it now, so we can automate wisdom basically.
Okay. So would you say that still dialexity though boils down to this manifestation of this idea of a dialectical wheel, right?
Wheel is just a schematic representation of instance of wisdom.
Basically, it will take several steps. First thing is to verify opposition here.
So I will give a situation, and then I would have to verify this.
Yes,
Right?
often this problem contains not just one thesis, but more theses. And then you have to find antithesis for each of them. And then the big thing is to correctly define these diagonal things, because these trigger words are very important. For one person, this positive side of staying could be stability. For another person, could be responsibility. And simple words matter. Sometimes they can make miracles. So just finding those words and making sure that they correspond correctly diagonally is already a big deal.
Right.
And also, dialectically, the importance, impact of positive must be equal to the impact of negative. It's like going back and forth. You post a question, a problem in the application. Now, the first iteration can be made by AI with a simple dialectical framework. But if you don't like it, you can make a deeper request.
You can refine the wheel as well. If you think about this dialectical wheel, dialectics in general as a framework of reasoning for a human, it's very difficult to use. You need to step into your opponent's shoes, you need to figure out positives, negatives, put them in a wheel so that it makes some sense. It's quite tough business. We do it only with life experience, so that's why wise people live long already.
Right.
And with the advent of AI, all of a sudden we can automate a bunch of it. You can automate all these structural semantic interrelationships with the sentiment analysis tools, with language understanding and so on. And all of a sudden you can employ AI to augment intelligence of people to make them happy.
This very much does sound like an instance of wisdom, like Evaldas you mentioned. So stemming from that, I mean, one idea that I thought was really interesting from you guys, but also so abstract, and I'm sure I'm probably not the only one, this idea of wisdom mining. So could you just kind of try to unpack that with me here? What is wisdom mining?
Yes. Mining technically is a computational work that you put in to get some truth out of a knowledge base. Out of a big knowledge base, if you mine some knowledge out, you normally want some clusters of data that make sense for us humans. In Bitcoin mining, for instance, you have a bit different concept of mining, but it's still, you put in computational power to get some hash code, so to get some piece of digital string, let's say, of a text string. So you still get something out of a big effort, intellectual effort that you put in. That's why we call the wisdom mining also in the same way, because we put intellectual, not only computational. If we use AI, then it's computational plus intellectual effort that you put in, intelligence, and you come out with a semantic graph, which we can schematically show as a dialectical wheel. Mm-hmm. So technically, you are mining out of a situation of the context. You're mining out a pearl of wisdom, which can be schematically represented as a wheel. So we say wisdom mining.
I don't know how many, if you guys are big fans of Reddit, but for example, if I go on Reddit, with any problem that I Google, to me it seems like Reddit already, someone there has been in my exact situation. Would I be able to find this wheel that someone else has done? Do you think that in the future there could be some database that would give me a wheel, or would it be fed into some kind of LLM that would be able to kind of familiarize and like pattern seeking with
ideally
problems, right?
Yes, it's a work in progress. Let's see, we have a white paper exactly about this, where we try to say that wisdom mining, so digging out these dialectical wheels, is worth doing because they can contribute to people's well-being in general. Because these pieces of wisdom, somebody comes up with solutions every day, right? And they are just disappearing somewhere. And if you could share that solution of yours to the pool, we call it intranet, where all these wisdom gems, pearls of wisdom, are aggregated. Somebody maybe indexes them somehow or takes portion of it, and then all this pool of wisdom then all of a sudden can be used. Like internet as a knowledge base is now used to train AI for us to read documents and so on. So if you could navigate in the pool of wisdom of solutions, which all of a sudden now we have structure to wisdom, right? Not anymore just some you need to go to a wise guy. You have structured it so you can save wisdom in a big database, and then with that database you can do many other applications. You can employ AI to navigate in certain problematic areas to dig out solutions. You can yourself maybe enrich it, maybe you can validate it, maybe you can, I don't know, make money out of it basically.
Right.
Like it's intranet, we call it intranet. Indra is a deity of wisdom, and the net is a network of semantic interrelations of wise.
So you guys are almost gonna monetize wisdom in some sense.
Yes, in the white paper it's about that. It's if you actually mine some wisdom, a piece of wisdom, you can make money out of it because you went through a situation, you found some solution, and you want to share it to the world. If we put blockchain into the game, basically you can be rewarded if somebody benefits from your solution.
Right.
Right, and there is a token bound to it, then basically everybody wins. Somebody is compiling sets of situation solutions, you know that somebody is using them, and
I just want to add one thing,
economy.
because you mentioned that Reddit already has lots of guys with lots of experience, which seems to cover everything.
Well,
But dialectics, what it does, it adds systematic scanning of this knowledge, seeing for the blind spots, because even if they have lots of experience, still there are blind spots. And like in GPT, in current LLMs, even if it provides you some solution, if you apply dialectics, you will find more solutions, which balance those, basically make sure that everything goes fine.
what other applications could I use this for? So does it have any limits really? Could it be used, for example, in business?
It's this wheel is just an instance of one situation. You come to this wheel, it's a schematic view of a semantic graph actually, with certain relations between concepts. And you can start with any concept. You can start with a house, you can start with a profit, you can start with the enemy. With any concept or problem or situation, wherever you start, you can analyze in our way, in our framework, so that there is a wheel coming out of it. That wheel is a representation of a success story, so to say, or a roadmap of how to behave, how to guide yourself in the situation, or given that concept. So you can do
Anything.
in any situation, you can come up with a wheel. Will it be useful to you? It will be if you know how to read it.
Right.
Yeah, but you have to have a wheel. If you go to a therapist, as you say, or somebody for an advice, they have this wheel somewhere built in their experience, their life experience. They don't need this schematic view. Although coaches and psychologists and everybody has some sort of schematics. For instance, in business there is a SWOT analysis.
Right.
Actually, SWOT analysis is a wheel, just a square,
Right.
where you have me, my concurrent business, and then my opportunities, my
Right.
View your business as a cyclic process, cycle. Usually there are just few steps. One is strategic vision, another is planning, third is executing, last one is adaptation or budgeting or something, closing thing, and it goes round and round. So here, for each step, you do the same diagonal analysis. You find hidden opposition that, for example, balances your strategizing, or balances your execution. And these will be different oppositions from those that you described originally. So these new antithetical domains will be control factors that are blind spots that you normally disregard. What is positive in strategical thinking? It is long-term thinking. It is foreseeing future, drawing a big picture. But what is negative? If you are too strategizing, you are becoming detached from ground, you are idealistic. So now oppositions of that would be what? What would be balancing element that I don't see? The one who is good on short term very grounded, very front end to the clients, and but he has weakness in that he doesn't see the big picture. So this would be someone, basically in the best scenario, this would be my client in reality. If I am under the skin of my client, I'm balanced.
Right.
But the problem is that a client by himself doesn't know what is balanced, he doesn't really know what he wants, and you don't control him. Basically, the best you can do, you can have a front-end salesman or customer service or something who is closest to that. So that front end who actually is closest to the customer is your balancing point.
Right.
Of the strategy.
So this is in a simple way, but basically executive, when he hires consultants, say McKinsey, he has some more delicate problems. It's not that strategy sucks, no. He has some more, maybe some company culture is not good enough. Maybe some inventiveness is not right. He's lacking some edge. So those delicate things will pinpoint to new delicate blind spots. And then we arrive at the acupuncturic strategy, that we fix the system not by redesigning as a whole, only by finding those delicate points that need encouragement or special care. So, and because the diversity of those problems is enormous, so diversity of those solutions can be enormous.
Amount of applications for dialectical framework that we actually try to present here is also enormous. Like this strategy that comes in a form of 20-50 pages of report could be simply validated by a dialectical framework to detect blind spots. It's one simple application that we could just go and implement,
So from what I'm hearing, you guys are up to a lot of things. So what are you working on as of right now? I hear about, a white paper, and then so that's in progress, also visualizing these wheels, right? So Dialexity is going to become quite an all-encompassing application, right?
Dialexity as an application, we will probably develop some different applications, but dialectical framework, which we use for our applications, this has unlimited potential. It's like logic, logic has deductions. It has a lot of applications. It made sort of a way for us to make machine think,
Right.
reason. And now dialectic can formalize dialectic, can make machines reason on a bit different level. So applications are enormous. If some big guys implementing AI, training those AIs, incorporate dialectical reasoning into the training data sets and so on, these AI models would be, I would say, at least less biased.
Okay.
Not only that, basically what dialectics gives, for any linear reasoning, it finds this diagonal opposition, which is the biggest complementarity, by doing what? Basically, it extends linear chain to the point of half circling. Basically, linear thinker doesn't think that his chain of thought will make a loop. He doesn't think. While dialectical diagonal relations do exactly that. It extrapolates to this far away side when you will meet your enemy and will need to synthesize something, although you have no clue yet. So this is what extends this linear reasoning, and this what could augment AI reasoning.
Okay, so I think that's a quite a nice way to wrap it up, like the essence of, I feel we discussed quite a bit here. And I would also like to kind of give you guys an opportunity to maybe, what would be an ending remark to the audience or to your potential users? What would be something that you would like to kind of speak on behalf of the Dialexity team? Because you guys are pretty much rock stars.
Yeah, unfortunately, that didn't happen in my life, although I wanted to be a rock star. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy that philosophy all of a sudden is automatable by a machine, and this is amazing. I'm by education, I was involved in computational logic, you know, computer science with a specialization in computational logic. And here is this dialectic, you know, which is very similar but of a different flavor. And yeah, that's amazing that now we can implement something with that. And it's implementable. And,
Yeah, and you guys did it. So awesome.
Not yet. But my thought is this, that no matter how good advice do we get, it's in the end up to us to get really wise. No matter how wise dialectical wheels will be, it will be up to us to live it up.
Yes.
Because only by our trial and error approach and effort, genuine, we learn. Otherwise, it's like, oh yeah.
Transformation is necessary, and if we look at the wheel as a replacement of a wise person, let's say of a coach or so, then transformation. No coach or no mother is able to transform you, right, with an advice. You need to make finally the decisions.
Yeah, life person is more than
Right.
just nice constructs.
Yeah. But yeah, well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I really hope you guys have the chance to try out Dialexity. Yeah, let's use it, let's make it happen.
Okay, thank you.